Legacy in the past used to mean like gold medals and how much money you can make. And now really it's about raising humans who are kind, who are like self-aware and who are resilient. We wanted to remind people that your next act can be even more powerful than your first. And when I hear the term second wind, Gloria, for me, it means like finding your breath again. So I had to fight to get back in that room. I had to fight for my voice again. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to pursue my passion for sport. It wasn't going to be track. So how about I try my hand in basketball? Even when you win, you're learning how to handle pressure and expectation and scrutiny. The medals fade. People forget about that. But your character is what endures. That's what lasts.
Let go. Hey, okay, I know I'm here to stay. Counting on my wins, so I can't play it safe. Try to go against us, get you out the way. Go hard, it's the only way to play. Let me say, I'm a trendsetter. I'm a go-getter. I'm a trendsetter.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Sportsing. I'm your girl, Gloria Govan, and I am in awe of our next guest with so much admiration. She is a mother, a world champion, at one point in time named the fastest woman in the world, an Olympian, a mentor, a co-host. Please, everybody.
Keep going.
A speaker, an author. I'm telling y'all, when I tell you with great admiration, please help me welcome Marion Jones.
Yo, thank you for that.
Yes.
Like I'm so excited to be chatting with you. As I mentioned before, this has been in the works for a number of months now. Yes. And I'm a big fan. I'm very I'll tell you, I'm very deliberate and choosy about what I listen to and what like invades my peaceful space. And so even when I'm like running or walking or living life or driving a 16-year-old girl around town, the things that I listen to are very important because it affects my mental energy. And so I'm very, very particular about what I allow to come into my space. And you all, I listen to you all. I'm a fan of you all. So yay! This is awesome. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. And honestly, that's so funny. I mean, having all of those titles, can you just tell me, like, how do you want to introduce yourself? What role really kind of encumbers your person today?
Oh gosh, it differs by the day, really. I think I'm a chameleon. I'm a butterfly. My mood, my energy affects who I show up to be. There are some days that I show up and I am Mama Bear. And there are other days that I show up and I am like the voice of, I think, people whom don't have one. And I really, really take that on and am serious about that. And then there are other days that I fight demons like everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I share about it because people need to know that they're not by themselves. So, I mean, there's a lot of different answers to that question, Gloria. But I like to say that I'm a work in progress. I am always all about forward movement, which we will talk about. But at this point, I turned 50 last weekend before last. So yeah, that's crazy. Yes. That I haven't even really wrapped my arms around that. And this morning on my morning run, my body felt all 50 years. Plus some, especially these knees. But yeah, I think that's who I embrace now, is just someone who is just, I wake up in the morning, whether it's a good day or a bad day, a hard day, a mentally challenging day. I'm like, I don't care what it is, but today is going to be a forward moving day. Whatever it is, it could be business, relationship, my peace, my mothering, whatever that looks like. It's always about going forward.
Yes, I love that. I mean, that's so important for us to be able to put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
It's all too often that we just get stuck in our own shit, right? Like that, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
sometimes it's hard to be able to pull ourselves out of those dark spaces.
And it's even harder, I think, when you have not established in your life a strong inner circle, a strong village.
Hmm.
And that could be for lots of reasons, but it's one of the things that I tell the people that I coach, whether it's entrepreneurs or athletes or, adolescents, right? Like, be very be very particular about the people that you surround yourself with, but especially as you age, start to create a community, a village of people who are going to make you better, who are going to challenge you, who are going to be by your side through good, bad, ugly, and it all will happen at some point in your life. And one of the many reasons I think for a little good amount of the success that I've had, especially later on in my life, is because I don't allow, similar to what I shared with you earlier about like even just listening to podcasts or music or radio. I'm very particular about who I let in my circle, their energy. And it's not about what they're going to do for me, but in essence, it is. Let me tell you, Gloria, it's like, my Facebook friends, for example. If I see that you're not bringing positivity to my space, to the world, I'm sorry, I can know you from age 5 and you're not going to be my friend on Facebook.
I love that. No, it's important. I purge all the time. A lot of people
Yeah.
are like, "Oh, you don't follow me back. You don't follow." I'm like, "Well, that's sorry." And I'm not going to spend the time to follow you. So my bad, bro. Or,
Yeah.
ma'am, like I agree. A lot of times I find myself in silence because I often have to just kind of get my own thoughts together. And, I've got like 9 personalities. So I got to have a board
Yes.
meeting with myself often to be like, all right, y'all, where we at today? What are we doing,
Yeah.
everybody? You know?
Yeah, no doubt. I found like now when I exercise or I work out or I go for a run or a walk, like I will leave my phone at home. And on my Garmin watch, I make sure that I turn off notifications
Mm.
from email or from CNN or from New York Times, whatever. And the only thing on my watch is like my pace, my distance, and it forces me to disconnect, which we all don't do enough of. All right. I am a part of it. I get it. But it's the one time in the day where I'm like, no, I'm not. I'll be okay. Right. So my partner's like, well, what if we can't reach you? Like my daughter's like, what if you can't reach you? I was like, I grew up in the 80s. Okay. My mama could not reach me for 6, 7 hours a day. And I
And
was okay. And now I'm 50. And if you can't reach me, if you don't hear me for a few hours, then yeah, send out a missing party search, but I'll be okay.
I love that. No, I was joking with my boys just last night. They do the like, oh yeah, mom, in the 1900s. I'm like, relax,
Okay.
relax.
Yes.
I know, I hear you.
How many
That's too
boys do you
funny.
have, Gloria?
We have 5 together. So 3 boys and
What?
2 girls.
Okay.
Yes,
What
I
are
know
their
it's
ages?
wild. And my younger set of twins are going to be 17.
Okay.
Our boy girl twins are 19, and then
All
our
right.
oldest daughter just turned 23.
All right. Yeah. I'm in that
Yes,
space. I'm in that space.
I know.
The youngest is 16, but she's going on 26. Like, and
Easy,
then,
for
and then of
sure.
course Amir, which we'll chat about. And then I have one who's also 21. So it's a different crazy. It's a different mother type fear. I have friends who have little babies and they're like, I can't stand this age. And I tell them, like, you don't want this age whereby they can drive and they are doing like, you don't. I would prefer that other age where I'm just worried about them like opening up the cabinets.
Right.
Do you remember
No.
that? Do you remember when they were just starting to walk? Like, we used to put those little latches on the
Yep, so they
cabinet.
couldn't open it. Yes. And then I
And
always couldn't open it myself either. I would struggle as an adult and I'd be like, this is some bullshit. This is supposed to help you, but it's struggling for me.
no
I get
doubt.
it. It was so bad. Parenting is wild.
Yeah.
You are a parent, a mom. You talked about being a mama bear of 3, but each of your kids have different ages. And, you probably parented them different because they got different versions of you.
Yeah.
Like your 16-year-old is getting your version today, Amir, your 21-year-old. That's the different version of Marion. What version was your kind of looking back? Are you like, woo, I was okay? Or are you today? Are you
Yeah.
comfortable in mommyhood? Talk to me
Ah,
about mommyhood at
that
your
is,
success.
yeah, that's such a good question. And you can imagine, Gloria, I've been asked like lots of questions over my career, and very rarely, so this is kudos to you. Very rarely do I get one that is just really, really powerful, and one that I've never been asked before. But I would definitely say that we parent differently based off of the kid, right?
Mm.
I don't think that there's just one way to parent. You have 5 kids, and you have to approach one kid different than you do another. It's just the way that it is. um I would say that the hardest part for me was my parenting my oldest. um when I had Monty, I was in the thick of it when it came to my career and life and relationships and just everything. And if there's one parenting style that I think I wish that I could redo, it would most likely be that one, I think. Because as I got older and I made certain choices about whom I decided to, be around and all that, my patience increased.
Mm.
Um, and I think with my oldest, it I was going through it, right? Like we all go through it, and certain choices about like listening to what I hear other parents say, or even like my mother, how she parented, and like I can remember a specific example, right? And I was trying to expose Monty to different foods, right? And sitting him down at the table, and I'm like, okay, like this is salmon, this is fish, right? And like I just want you to try it. And he refused to try it. And I can remember sitting at that table for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like, I just need you to try it. I need for you to try it. And just, I mean, that's one example of many, many, many. And that I just wish that I could redo.
Yeah.
But I'm at a place now whereby I take a step back with my daughter, and I let her learn good and bad. Of course, I'm not going to allow her to be in harm's way or anything, but sometimes she has to stumble to figure things out, and I did not allow my oldest to do that, right? Like I was that parent, and I was helicopter, and I wish that I had. But
No.
you can't go back and change things. You can just like learn from it. And I've learned my middle, and then all 3 kids are so very different in terms of their personalities, in terms of their athleticism, in terms of their approach to hard times and how they deal with hard stuff. And my daughter is very independent, like very independent. And then you couple that with being a teenager and have a teenager brain, which naturally wants to do its own thing. But then my mom jokes and says, like, this is the child that I wanted you to have so that you can see how
No.
hard I, as my mom, dealt with things.
And I appreciate it. I mean, it is wild. Like, I'm the youngest of 10, and my oldest siblings are always giving me shit because they're like, you don't ever have to do so. It's just funny and I similarly, our kids are like, the boys never have to do anything and they get away with murder. And it's so funny that you kind of naturally, I think, start loosening up on the reins a little bit,
Yeah.
as you get a little bit more comfortable in parenthood.
And it's not because like I'm like over it.
Right.
It's just because you start to realize that, well, for my daughter, in less than a year and a half, like she's going to be in college,
That's
like
it.
she's going to be on her own, and she's going to have to navigate stuff. And I hope that she knows that I am her number one fan, cheerleader, resource for whatever she needs. But I'm not going to be there. So she's going to have to figure it out. The journey with Amir. So Amir's my middle son. He just turned 18, and he as a funny story, all of my kids are very athletic naturally, right? Like they haven't had to work to get faster or more coordinated. They just naturally are. And Amir, my middle, he has loved basketball like his entire life, like dreamt of going to the NBA. And of course, we encouraged him and all that. In his senior year in high school, you decide, okay, I'm gonna try track. Because Gloria, I never we never pushed our kids towards the sport.
Right.
We watch sport, we're around it. We have friends who are like Olympians and professionals, and we just wanted them to naturally figure out what shoes they wanted to walk in. And so his senior year, he decided to run. I mean, and there's no surprise, like success came his way very quickly. He decided that he wanted to pursue track at the next level. So we're in the Austin, Texas area. And so Texas wanted him, recruited him. He went to Texas his freshman year, and it wasn't the best fit for him. And so I'd like to say watching Amir's journey, he transferred to Arizona State University. And watching his journey from University of Texas to Arizona State has been, for me, just a reminder that our kids have their own timing. So like his courage to step into a new environment, 18 hours away from home, like inspires me. And I never would have guessed that with my kids prior to having them, how much they inspire their parents. I see my drive and my focus in him, but I also see this incredible calm confidence and something that I did not have always at his age. And so, it's crazy. As a mom, I really, Gloria, try to guide without now like gripping, and I cheer from the sidelines with them, but I never, right. And it's funny. I never try to carry the baton, pun intended, with them. And so for me, I always like to say like legacy in the past used to mean like gold medals and how much money you can make. And now really it's about raising humans who are kind,
right,
who are like self-aware and who are resilient. And it's been, motherhood for me has been the most humbling experience that I can imagine. It keeps you accountable. And really you can't preach what you don't practice.
Amen.
And so every post that I make on social media now, every interview that I give, every appearance that I make, I keep that in mind, right? That they are watching. It's not a time like 30 years ago whereby there might be a little newspaper article and there might be, an interview on TV that it will be impossible for you to find again. Now it stays there. Yes. And I want to make sure that whatever I'm sharing, doing, honoring, loving, praying, like all I know will at some point they will see and can be proud of. And so I've joked, I've said this before, Gloria, I think I once ran to make the world proud, and now I live to make my kids proud, by being whole and by not being perfect.
Yes.
And that's the social media thing for me, and that we could talk about that for 2-3 more hours, but the impact that it has on our lives and like what people see generally is like perfection, fake perfection, right? And I want people to like, I'm real, I'm raw, I have hard days. There are days that I suck. Rarely do I wear makeup, right? Like I sweat. I'm funky sometimes after I move fast. I cut it's just like real content. And so when I made the decision to like come back onto the scene a few years ago, and like I had a team around me, a marketing team and a social media team, and they were like, okay, you should. I'm like, that's not me, right? Like, first of all, the fact that you might even get any content, you better be happy about that, because I didn't grow up with a household, first of all, with a computer till I got to college. Certainly didn't have a phone, and I forget that, like people might be interested in seeing this part of me. Like I have to be reminded of that now. And so that's why I make it a point, even with my content that I share, Gloria, that it's real. My kids see that I'm real, right? So why do I want to post something on social media and they look at it and say, that's not my mama, right? Like,
And
that's
kids
not who she is.
kids will do that to you. Kids will be like, why are you playing? They will call you out in a
Right.
heartbeat. It's so disrespectful. Be
And
like,
that's
time
the
out.
last thing that I want. So yeah, motherhood. Oh, it's something.
It'll get you, boy, I tell you. I mean, and so is that, you talk about your kind of coming back on scene. You've recently started, or you have your own podcast, Second Wind. Is that something that like encouraged you to like bring on? Why Second Wind? What does it mean to you?
Yeah. So, podcasts are popular, right?
Fair.
And I I love connecting with people, Gloria. Like I love people's stories. I love a comeback type of story. I am a like documentary junkie. Like I like real stories, whether they're raw, whatever it looks like. And so when the opportunity with my business partner came around this past year about like starting a podcast, what would it be about? Of course, like I love this idea of resilience. Like I'm a wonderful example of it.
Yes, you are.
Like reinventing, like I coach entrepreneurs now on how to come back from loss, whether it's financial loss or loss in their careers, whatever that looks like. So like resilience and reinvention, and then like at this point, like living unapologetically, right? Because that's who I am. I am who I am. There are people that love me and there are people who don't. And like I okay. Like I'm gonna live my life no matter what. And so Second Wind is all about like when your purpose finally catches up to your potential. Right. It was born out of conversations about what happens after all of the spotlight in your life fades. And it's the part that no one like really prepares you for. So Suzanne Evans and I, that's my business partner, we wanted to remind people that your next act can be even more powerful than your first. And when I hear the term second wind, Gloria, for me, it means like finding your breath again. After like after being winded by life. That's how I like sometimes coin like my journey. And so podcasting, it gave me a new type of ownership of my story because for so many years, decades even, like people wrote about my story, right? And finally,
Right.
like, this is my story. I'm owning it. I'm speaking to people whom inspire me. And sure, I don't mind sharing my story with people, but like, I love to bring out the best in people. I have I think a gem of a gift that's been gifted by God, and that's my ability to connect with people. And although, Gloria, I think I went to one of the most incredible universities in the land, in University of North Carolina at Chapel
Yep.
Hill,
Yep.
my gift to connect with people was nothing that I learned there. It's something that I've been given, and I think to stifle this voice would be a disservice. And yeah, it was an incredible experience. I got to meet some guests and speak with some guests that are really, really powerful, and some that potentially weren't as popular as others, but that I learned a lot from, and I hope my audience did. And it's something that I want to keep going. I don't know necessarily in that space, but it's something that I've kind of gotten my toes wet, gotten my feet wet, and I don't think I want to step away from it yet. But I don't know what the next chapter might look like in regards to the podcasting world. But I know that I still want to be a part of it, and I have more stories that I think people should hear to inspire.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't think I'm done with it yet.
Please don't be done with it. Please don't be done with it. When I saw your podcast, because similarly, I've been creating more boundaries in my life, that are blocking and shielding other people's energies. Because I do absorb. I'm a Pisces, so we absorb energies, but we also give out a lot of ourselves to people. And you talk about, entering like this new phase of your life, but it'll obviously be remiss if we don't talk about your journey on how you've gotten here though today. I mean, Tar Heels, North Carolina, track, WNBA. I just, again, I can go on and on, but you originally a lot of people don't know that you originally went to North Carolina on a basketball scholarship.
Yeah, so I'm originally from California. I think a lot of people know that. Grew up there, a single parent. My mom is from a small, beautiful third world country by the name of Belize. And so she came up here to find a better life for my older brother and I. I was born here. My older brother was born in Belize. And so she came up here and she fought, right? Like, she figured out the system. She wanted her kids to have all of the resources and everything they needed to succeed. So yeah, I grew up in California, and my mom and I realized at an early age that I was just like gifted with an incredible amount of physical talent. Also, my mental capacity for hard work was, she likes to say, unheard of. And so put me in all kinds of sports, like everything. I dabbled in everything, and track and field stuck, but then I also learned and loved the game of basketball. And I realized that in high school, Gloria, that I could have attended any university in the country and competed in track. But I wanted to be challenged and learn the game of basketball and see how I can juggle them both, which is now it's kind of unheard of to see female athletes being very competitive in two sports. And so I visited University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, took a visit, fell in love with it. And they were not very strong when it came to women's basketball. Of course, the legendary North Carolina men's program is well known, but the women's team had yet to really set their mark on the country. And so the idea that I could be a part of bringing this program to the forefront of the women's game was exciting to me. And of course, I would still run track, but decided to accept a basketball scholarship there. My freshman year, I was part of the school's first and only women's basketball national championship. And my love of the sport really just blossomed from there. Competed in both sports in college, of course. And when I graduated, had missed running at the top level because I had even before school. And so I put the brakes on basketball, although I had been drafted into the AWBL, which was the premier professional women's league prior to the WNBA. I says, nope, I'm going to put basketball on the back burner, and I want to be the fastest woman in the world. So let me get to training and finish realizing that dream that I had created when I was 8 years old and written on my chalkboard. I wanted to be a Olympic champion. And success, Gloria, came my way really fast, whereby less than 13, 14 months, I was the U.S. national champion. And in less than 15 months, I was the world champion in my sprints. And during that time, I'm juggling life and relationships and trying to figure things out and trying to cope with the idea of a biological parent, my biological father, who, chose to not participate in my life and never really came to grips with that, understood that. Why do I even bring that up when it comes to talking about my journey is because it's significant. When you have a parent whom turns their back on you and you don't have any answers why, and you're part of a culture whereby during that time, and unfortunately, even at moments now, part of a culture that you don't air your dirty laundry. You don't talk to anybody when you struggle with certain things. And as a female woman of color athlete, it's just even another layer of, let me protect this, right? And so I'm dealing with stuff on the relationship front, on the father front, on the boyfriend, husband front, and I'm pouring all of that negative stuff and the depression that I know I was dealing with into sport, right? Which on one hand, looking back, it propelled me and it made me faster and more driven and more competitive. So I'm grateful for that, but it never allowed me space to deal with my SHIT. And I made choices during that time, 21, 22 years old, choices about relationships that I wish that I could go back and change. And even choices when it comes to who I'm going to surround myself with, and certain managers and coaches and all of those type of things. And they're all lessons, Gloria, that I am grateful for, right? Because it took me places that I would never want anybody to go. I spent, 6 months incarcerated for making and lying to federal investigators about, using performance enhancing drugs, and was sent away to federal prison, was used as an example by the judge, that, you can't do certain thing, even though you're an athlete, and the only athlete ever to serve any type of prison time because of the choices that I made. And again, I say it boldly now because of the choices that I made, but it's important to understand the whole context of it all, where I was, what I was dealing with. And then, making the decision while I was incarcerated that, okay, poor choices had been made, and these are my consequences. But my life does not have to end here. I refuse to allow it to end. I refuse to allow my mother's dream, my ancestors' dream of success here in this country just like disappear because of the choices I made. I still had a passion for sport. I was still young enough that my body was still fit. And so once I was released, I decided, you know what? Like, I'm not done with sport, but even more so, I have something that I think I would like to share with the world. This idea that once you get knocked down, Gloria, you don't have to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, there were a lot of doors being slammed in my face. Understandably so, right? Like, I had let down the world, right? I had disappointed so many people. And so I had to fight to get back in that room. I had to fight for my voice again. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to pursue my passion for sport. It wasn't going to be track. So how about I try my hand in basketball? I love the sport. I was blessed to make a WNBA team. I'm the oldest rookie ever to have played, even to this day. But what those few years did, Gloria, was give me a platform again, right? I remember I was part of a team, WNBA team, that was one of the worst in the league. And on top of that, Gloria, I was riding the bench, right? So this idea of being humbled and the camera being on me, we're losing, the game is going on, and the camera's on me. How do I spin that, right? How do I turn that into something positive? At this point, I had 2 boys, and I know that they're at some point they will follow the journey of their mom's life. How can I make some incredible lemonade out of some crappy lemons, right? And that's how this all started. This idea that your life doesn't stop when stuff happens to you. And no, everybody has not been on the cover of Vogue or, Life magazine or Time or any of that, but everybody faces tough stuff in their life. And I'm no different. And how can I use my voice to be an example? So a few lessons that I want to just kind of touch on that you mentioned, like track for me taught me this idea of like the sacredness of repetition, which was so important to use now later in my life, how greatness hides inside kind of like ordinary days. And I've had to share this with a lot of people. What did track teach you? And what did basketball teach you about where you at? And for me, it's about like the discipline. I talked already about being accountable, mental toughness. And I built all of these as an athlete now, it's how I show up as a parent, right? It's people how did you learn how to navigate it? Sport, right? Sport. It's how I lead. It's also now I love hard. I've always been like that to the extent too far sometimes. Competition for me truly sharpened my humility. It's one of the things when people meet me or get a chance to know me, they talk about that all the time. Even when you win, you're learning how to handle pressure and expectation and scrutiny. I do not think that I would have been able to move past those hard 10 years without what I experienced in the world of basketball and track, camera always being on me. how do you act, right? What message are you sharing? Who are you showing up as? I can see without those lessons, Gloria, that the days that like the hard days that I experienced would have been so much harder.
Right.
I remind my kids that like the medals fade. People forget about that. But your character is what endures. That's what lasts. And there are 3 rules in our house that I've been very consistent with my kids, and that is effort. You have to give effort. You can try any sport, any musical instrument, drama, but you got to give the effort. Your attitude has to be right, and your integrity has to be strong, right? And I can say I'm not the perfect parent in the least, but those the 3 things I am most proud of when it comes to my parenting.
I love
And
that.
and yeah, and the training aspects of all of my sports, it gave me it gave me like a type of language for life. You warm up, you prepare your mind, you run your lane, you don't compare yourself to other people,
Mm-hmm.
and you finish strong, meaning you see it through. And it just taught me that success is just, it's like kind of rented, right? You don't own
Yes.
it. And rent is due every single day of your life, not just when the crowd is watching. So
I love
um
that.
yeah,
I'm
it's
I'm gonna
just
have to
it's
steal that for my own boys. I mean, Derek says
yeah,
all the time, champions are built in the everyday small details, and it's
yeah,
boring. He tells people all the time that it's boring. You do the same stuff every single day until it's perfected, till you could do it in your sleep, blindfolded, with hands behind your back. And a lot of kids, I think today, their journeys are so fast. They want to get to the destination so quickly. And we talk about
yeah,
this on our podcast so often, that they're missing out on the journey. And I think social media and where we are today, just the type of, economy that we're in, they oftentimes lose themselves in trying to keep up with the person in the lane next to them, because it's so
yeah,
easy now to see what they're doing. Whereas before, to your point, we could go to school if, like our biggest drama in school was like who passed a note to you in class, right? Like the notebook that you got in the hallway. Now house parties,
yeah,
everything is just, it's captured. And I do feel bad for them. This reality of
it's
how
it's
many cameras are on them.
to navigate adolescence in this time. It's hard.
Yeah, it
It's
sucks.
hard if you don't, even harder if you don't have a loving environment, and
Right. No,
people to guide
100%. And
you.
surrounding yourselves. I mean, the boys and kids are learning. They'll learn. I'm my circle's gotten smaller, to your point, as I've gotten older, and I've had to say no to people coming back into life. I've had to say no to family. I've had to create, really hard, dramatic boundaries that people didn't understand. And I oftentimes feel like it's because they don't appreciate growth. I think people really only use you for the time that they need you, if they aren't
Yeah,
interested in, celebrating your development and evolution, which I had to learn the hard way as well. Like, why don't you, get it? But outgrowing people has been a really big part of my realization
yeah,
in just my development and human, again, maturity.
yeah.
So it's been interesting.
When the fast-paced life slows down, like I'm in a season of my life, Gloria, where wellness now looks like peace. I've talked about this on some other podcasts, but like wellness now looks like peace that isn't performative. And it's not retirement. I mean, yeah, retirement from sport. It's not rest. It's like a type of reconstruction of your life. And then for the first time, I had to ask myself, like, who am I without the uniform? Right? It's like, who am I, without the sneakers, without movement, all of that. And I've learned to measure wellness by like a certain type of alignment, being aligned, and not a certain type of appearance. And it means listening to my body, journaling through emotions, and again, we get back to it, right? Protecting my peace.
Mm-hmm.
And my anchor now is writing and reading. Of course, movement is still a big thing in my life. So I swim. I appreciate quiet mornings. Time with my kids when they want to be in my space, right? Like my daughter is, the last one in the house, but she's driving now. And I love I heard some parents saying, I can't wait for my kids to drive so they can like take themselves wherever. Gloria, I absolutely love taking my daughter to school because it's the time in a small space. And sometimes she doesn't want to talk, but when she does, to me, I don't know, I almost feel like I want to tear up about it, right? Because it's like, it's just so special to me, right? To have those moments with her, because I know, again, in a year and a half, I'm not going to have that.
I know.
It all of that keeps me grounded with a type of gratitude and grace, and I focus on what nourishes me at this point and not what drains me.
No, I love it. But I want to stick to, because parenting for me, especially, right? I love learning. And I love when someone who can educate me and our audience on being, a parent and what that means, and how has your journey as a leader. We talk about, is effort inherited? Can it be taught? Can grit and grind be developed and matured and molded? Or is that something that you're genuinely born with? And the reason why I'm asking is because you have athletic kids, naturally athletic kids. And you were such a high level achiever and competitor at the highest level possible. How has that impacted the way that you encourage your kids, or not encourage your kids, to find their own journey without influencing them kind of so directly that it maybe alters what it is that they're looking for as an individual?
To touch on the first part of the question in regards to who's born with certain gifts and who's not, certain traits, successful type traits. Yes and no. I 3 kids, all very different when it comes to their drive, right? Their effort. And again, going back to having to parent and teach each of them differently. Like I have one kid whom we literally had to force him to go out and play. Like all he wanted to do was focus on his sport, on getting better and studying film and making sure he's stretching and eating well, and like go play a video game. We wanted balance for his life, as opposed to another one of my incredible 3 kids where I'm like, right? Like if you could see how much natural talent that you have and just like this much effort, right? What that could do. And so it's very different. And I don't know. I think some kids, it's not a genetic trait. It's not, I don't think it's not handed down through the umbilical cord, right? It's taught from an early age, right? Like it's how I live. It's how we function in this house. You want to start something new? Sure, we could talk about it, whatever that is. We can invest in it, but you're going to see it through, right? And you're going to have a good attitude when you're doing it, even on the days you don't want to go to practice, you don't want to do X, Y, and Z. We're going to see it through. And I think starting at an early age that there's no days off when it comes to doing the right thing and following through, and good attitude and good effort. And there's no days off when it comes to that. From the beginning, we've committed to a play date when you're 4 years old. And just because you want to stay and watch the Backyardigans, which, by the way, I saw on Instagram yesterday, are celebrating their 21 year, Backyardigans was 21 years ago. Like,
Nope.
do you remember Backyardigans? Anyways, I bring that up. Like they wanted
in a mini rocket.
Yes.
Yes. 100%.
Don't get started with Teletubbies, but that's a whole other thing. No, they want to stay home on a Saturday morning when there are things that we had committed to, right? And I think a lot of parents don't do that anymore. It's how the child feels. They don't feel like doing it. So I don't want Johnny to get, to be in a space that what? So what is that teaching? And you see it in these kids that are so self-absorbed, right? You see it in these college kids whereby, they're making all this money and, they're wearing these shoes, but their effort and their attitude on their court sucks. And I just wanted to make sure that like my three, that wasn't a part of whatever they decided to go to, even if it wasn't in a sport, Gloria, like when it comes to their relationship, like you say you're all in, right? Like you're not cheating. You're not like doing the wrong thing. If you want to get out of the relationship, you do how you're supposed to do it. Right. Like little things like that. And I just think it needs to be you need to be purposeful as a parent when you have kids.
As we wrap it up, I do want to just touch on where you are today. You have, started to your point, come into who you are, right?
Yeah.
You have started to speak about your own personal preferences, your development, your journey, where you're starting to leave breadcrumbs on kind of more of destinational. Talk to me a little bit about about coming into your own, about developing different relationships and partners, and how have you been true and led a true self as Marion Jones?
The idea that I have learned so much from my 50 years makes me sit back momentarily and smile, because for me, purpose today is more so about making an impact over image, right? And I think the sooner that people get to that place, influencers, entertainers, athletes, the better off you'll be, by using every platform from, the podcasts to, getting my hands wet on like TV experiences, doing special forces, like developing my own fitness app, which I'm excited to be able to share in the new year, creating my own mindset journal that's also going to be out in the new year, and coming into whom I am authentically, right? Like the idea that for many years, because of many reasons, I had to hide whom I loved and wanted to be around and with. And now at 50, like I have a longtime partner, a woman that I absolutely adore, and we're happy and we're good, and our relationships with our kids are healthy. My professional life is solid and good. The relationships that I make with people are raw and real. And I'm building spaces, Gloria, like through coaching and speaking and storytelling, where people can rebuild. I like where people can rebuild belief in themselves. And so I train people. Like I'm also a personal trainer. I love movement and wellness, and I do this thing called Speed of Success. It's a series, right, where I connect movement and mindset, because how you train your body mirrors how you're going to train your ambition in life. And so I like to travel a good amount, and I tell stories when it comes to the impact of meeting new people and experiencing new cultures. And that's been kind of a new ministry type for me, capturing like resilience in nature and different cultures across the world, like is my passion project. I love that. And a decade from now, I suppose I would hope people would say, she showed us that falling doesn't disqualify you from anything. If anything, it refines you. And legacy isn't the trophy that you're going to leave on your shelf or your fireplace. It truly, Gloria, is the type of courage that you pass on through your story. And mine is evolving. I like to say that there's no period at the end of my story. It's literally a ... Because tomorrow you're going to wake up and see, wait, where is she? What show is she on? Who's she talking to? Like I show up in places and I don't even tell my friends sometimes. And they're like, wait, what? Like, huh? It's because like I'm just so passionate about life, and that I've been in essence given a second chance to love who I want, live how I want, show up with different hats and different clothes and just a different mindset. And it's me. All of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, it's who I am. And I'm just happy to be on this journey and that I can share it with people.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I have to have you back. I want to
Let's do
talk
it,
about
right?
your
'Cause
app.
we just like touched on little things, man. We need more time.
I know. That's why I was like, I know you, but your app, I'd love to talk about your fitness journey, your wellness,
Yeah.
I just how that impacts how we can bring that to the world, especially as it relates to raising this next generation. As you can tell, I'm passionate about speaking about motherhood, about parenting. It's just a huge part of who I am, who I want to help people be, as it relates to developing these little mini humans.
Let me just kind of finish with this. I am a fan of the show, and if you all, it's just very powerful. It's powerful to see someone like you, in this space, creating change, creating stories that need to be heard. And so I just feel honored that you reached out and that we were able to connect. And then let's do it again soon.
Super grateful.
Got a lot of things in the works that I would love to share.
And yes, exactly. I want to be able to share that with our audience, with you, just so many things. I think there's a lot of collaboration. And before we go, we normally end the episode with kind of a sportsing, state your claim. So do you favorite WNBA team?
Well, I'm Los Angeles girl, right? And I always will lean towards the California teams. I love the Sparks. But we have the Wings here now. We have Dallas and we have Paige. And so that's fun. And we're getting some expansion teams. So I'm a big fan of the sport. I follow it. The evolution of it is magical. And yeah, that's a whole other podcast that we could talk about when it comes to women in sport. Right. But I'm excited about where that's headed. I'm excited in this off season with the bargaining agreement and maybe finally these women will get paid what they deserve to be paid.
Amen. True. 100% true. And Paige is killing it. So kudos to you. So if you're LA, are you Lakers or Clippers?
I'm Lakers.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
It's funny because my mom and my stepdad would take me to Lakers games occasionally when we'd get tickets, but Clippers tickets used to be cheaper.
Right.
So we would go to the sports arena. That's when the Clippers played in the sports arena way back in the day. So I went to a lot more Clippers games, even though I was a Lakers fan, just because of finances.
That's fair. I feel like that's true today, actually. So that's 100% true. I love it. And lastly, baseball, obviously with the World Series coming up. Are you rooting for the men in blue?
Well, I'm not a baseball fan anymore. I did grow up a Dodger fan. I was around when Orel Hershiser was the pitcher, Marion Duncan was the second baseman and the shortstop. Oh. But this young man with the Dodgers, and I dare not say his name for that I'm going to get it wrong, but we know who I'm talking about, right? The pitcher. Wow.
Oh, Ohtani.
Let me tell you what I am excited to see about him, because it's a different face of baseball that I don't think everybody wants to accept yet. And that's why I love it, right? Because for us to continue to put sports, different careers in a box and say, these are the only people that can excel in this sport, right? And when you have someone come along, right, whom doesn't look like what the normal, like true baseball hero looks like, and does something incredible like what he did last week, like I'm all about it. Yeah. Like I am all about it. I'm all about the underdog. And you're going to say, well, he's not really the underdog. But in essence, when it comes to that type of sport, he is. There's a lot of people who do not want him to succeed, right? Because he doesn't fit the mold, right? It's how people were with women's sports and women's basketball. That's not what basketball looked like. Women are not supposed to, right? And now they're slowly starting to evolve. But the idea that this young man is a true freak of nature in the most positive way, I am here for it. I am here for those people that are like, oh, wow, I guess he's pretty good. So I love that stuff. I
Yes.
love that stuff. So although I'm not a baseball fan, you best believe I'm going to be watching and I'll be pulling for the Dodgers, not because I'm an LA girl, although I am, but because I love someone who stands up, who's different, right? Who's phenomenal, right? It was different. And he's like, you know what? He's a young kid. He's like, I don't care. I am who I am, right? And y'all are going to have to accept me. I'm all about it. So go Dodgers, I guess.
Yeah.
But I just want to see him succeed. Shoot.
I love the I guess part. I love it. I'm here for it. I 100% agree with you. And I just want to say thank you so much, Marion. This has been such a blast. It's been so much fun. The fact that we have so much more to talk about is, I think a testament to the journeys, to the synergies, and, and I look forward to having you on again.
Yeah, thank you. You keep doing good work, okay, Gloria?
You too, babe.
There
You
are
too.
a lot of people out there that are quiet, that are cheering y'all on, cheering you on. You're doing they're doing good stuff in the media, and you're putting out stories that people need to hear. And so just keep doing good, okay?
I appreciate you, and always know you have a huge fan in me, and anything you need from us, we got you. And again, I can't wait to talk about all the next stuff you have coming up. So I appreciate you. Till next time.
Thank you, Gloria.
Till next time. All right, y'all. This has been another episode of Sportsing. And if you have not enjoyed this conversation, get off. No, I'm just kidding. But no, we appreciate you so much. Again, we are looking forward to having Marion back on. There's clearly a lot more that we have to discuss. And but thank y'all. Until next time. Peace.